You know what time it is.
What's up, beer people?
If you heard it on the hashtag beer time, it's true.
It must be true.
It's true. It is fact. Please, won't you name one of your beers cart horse?
And just do something terrible. Just shit beer. Yeah.
Stick your finger in there every now and again.
Stir it with the sock.
Every show, it feels like my first show.
Every show is a new adventure.
We're having some good conversation here, Mr. Troy.
Did I make sense there? I think I did.
I love them all.
Are we off air?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 31 of Hashtag Beer Time with me, T-Bone Troy, the show where we talk about all things beer. And in this show, it is something that I've been looking forward to doing for quite a while now. It's where we get the best of the best. And this is what I feel the best collection of IPAs from the States. And we actually compare it to South Africa's best, which is the Devil's Peak Blockhouse. Now, the three beers which we chose to compare it, you might obviously disagree, but as a South African, these are three beers which or brands really, that we kind of look up to or aspire to. Again, you might feel that there are other beers out there that are much more worthy of being called the best IPAs in America, but if there are, please let me know which ones you think. But the ones that we do have on the show are the Lagunitas IPA, the very popular or very well-known Pliny the Elder, and then the Estate Homegrown IPA from Sierra Nevada. Helping me drink these beers in the studio are my good friends, Greg and Carl from Beer Country, and it was great that we had them in the studio. We also talk a little bit about Africa Burn, which is the Burning Man equivalent of our festival in South Africa. So I'm not going to say too much more, but I'm just going to get on with the show. It's a good show. I know you're going to enjoy it. Check you guys. Ciao. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 12 o'clock, a few minutes past 12 on a Tuesday, and you are tuned in to Two Oceans Vibe Radio. You're listening to me, T-Bone Troy. How you doing? How you feeling? It's time for Hashtag Beer Time. Let me make a few adjustments here. Nothing new on the radio show, but I'm sure you can hear me. Let me just test this. Okay. God damn it. Hey, just nothing new. Nothing new for Hashtag Beer Time. Okay. You know what? There we go. It's good to be back in the studio. Hello, everyone. Did you miss me? I missed you. Let's just get straight into the show. God damn it. I love it when a plan comes together. Thank you very much, music. Thank you very much. Guys, I've been away for a while. I know I've been off the airwaves. I took up a bit of a break, a bit of a vacation, however you want to say it. Africa Burn, which is the equivalent of Burning Man in the States for our American listeners. We'll talk a little bit about that later. And then I took a whole week off in the Western Cape wilderness. I became one with nature. No phone, no cell phone, no messages, no emails, no WhatsApp. It was great. But I'm back now. Hello, how are you doing? And today's show is very nicely or wonderfully titled Pliny and Friends. You know when you haven't done something for a while, like this radio show, you just exploding with excitement. It's like when you're a teenager and you abstain from something, and then after a few weeks you just explode with just the build-up of love. And anyway, that's what I've got planned for you today, guys. Pliny and Friends. We've got a bit of Pliny, we've got a bit of Friends, but the Friends, it's not referring to beers. It can refer to beers, but I'm going to refer to my beer friends. Let me introduce them. I've spoken for far too long without letting them speak.
Dude, that was a massive intro.
That's
what a 3-week build-up absence sounds like. Boom!
So you've heard them before. You've known them on TV, on radio, on social media.
They hang around from fire to fire, bar to bar. You've seen them, you know them. I'm going to stop introducing them.
Stop! We blush easily, bro.
Greg and
Come
Carl
on.
from Beer Country, welcome back into the studio.
Hello, my boy.
Hello.
Yes, okay, guys.
What's up, beer people?
Yes, and now guys, we've actually got a great show. It's an hour show. We've got so much that we want to talk about. We've got a very definite, specific theme that we're talking about today. But before Greg goes ahead and says the whole show in the first 5 minutes, I'm just gonna say this very quickly. I believe we have a birthday boy in the studio tomorrow.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Mr. Carl, you're turning what? 47 or is it 46?
I think it's 37. Eh?
I was going to say, how do you do it? You know?
Yeah, it's amazing.
How do you keep? Okay,
I keep thinking it's 36, but then my wife reminded me it's not.
Well, look, we were either going to call this show the Happy Birthday Carl show, but are you okay with calling it Pliny?
I'll call it Pliny. It's
Okay,
good,
Pliny and friends, guys.
Pliny and friends, happy birthday!
Yeah, I'm okay with Pliny and friends.
And with that, let's open our first beer. While I'm cracking it open, Carl, you can take the stage and explain why I'm opening this, why this is in my possession, because you know a little bit about this.
So the first beer we're drinking is Lagunitas IPA. I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the biggest IPA in the world, the most popular, the biggest selling, or in America at least. And they came out here to Jack Black, and they did a little launch event there. I think it was just to kind of check out the scene. I don't know if they're going to be making Lagunitas or importing it, but we were lucky enough to try a lot of the beers, 4 or 5 of them. I can't remember. They were all quite hefty in alcohol.
There were
4, wasn't it?
3 in bottle can, and then
Yes.
there were 3 or 4 in tap.
Some of them were duplicates,
Keg.
though. Yeah.
Yes. But yes, just to follow on that, I think. Well, let's first cheers. Let's have a
Cheers.
freaking sip.
Cheers.
Welcome back.
Smells good.
Okay, so just to follow on what you were saying, from the research, I believe it or not, guys.
You do research?
Guys, just hang on. You're sitting down. I actually did some research for the show. Believe it or not, I trawled the interwebs.
Changed since you've come back from that
Exactly.
holiday.
This, from what I've seen, this was kind of the first beer to kind of splash IPA on their bottle.
Yes.
And to really push the IPA category out there. As Tony McGee, the former guest on Hashtag Beer Time,
Oh, that's right. You had
said,
them on
before that, the beers were the old school beers were kind of boring. I think he hailed out of Chicago, and they just weren't cracking the nut. And then he kind of came up with this mega hop IPA. I stand to be corrected. If there's anyone in the States who disagrees, please get a hold of me, and you're welcome to correct me. And yeah, I think Lagunitas is part of the Heineken family,
so.
Yeah.
which Jack Black has just become a part of the third South African brewery to join the family. So I suppose there are rumors abound, that Lagunitas will be coming to South Africa, but
Way to start it, Troy. Way to start it.
There's a
Good job,
rumor.
man.
There's a
You're right
rumor.
there. Troy said it first.
Yeah, so
I also did a little bit of research. And
Yes.
43 different hops and 65 different malts. What? Yeah.
You're joking.
okay, so I saw.
No, surely not.
Brie, I've got it right here.
What would
right
be the purpose of that?
Which is kind of a little bit my point. Like, it seems excessive.
Well, this is
But-
okay. So I also dug a little bit deeper than that, and I saw. Wait, they
43
can't
malts.
and
Come
65. No, 43 hops,
A hop-
65 malts, and I was like, no, I can't even name 6 malts.
Yeah, I was just at Beer Guevara like 5 minutes ago.
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh, they're making that.
Yes, they are definitely
Yeah.
pulling our leg. I've seen. Oh, careful that wire. There we go.
Touch the wires,
seen,
man.
Going across the streams.
I've seen a few forums where people have asked the exact same question, and I can tell you right now that they use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types of hops.
Yeah.
But they, as a few people have said, there are many different ways to bend the truth. So
Yeah, sounds way more
Troy,
impressive.
it was a test and you passed. Well done. A+ beer time. Boom.
Yes. So if you're listening and you learn something on hashtag beer time, I'm super stoked.
51.5 IBUs. I don't know how you measure half an IBU.
It also seems like
I don't know. No, I mean it's a pretty bitter beer.
What's the alcohol there?
Alcohol is 6.2.
6.2. And these were the first, well, from what I know, these were one of the first breweries that kind of put interest in information on their label. They had a little bit of a story on it.
Well, Lagunitas is one of the granddaddies of the American craft scene.
Yeah.
It's
I will tell you my
From the get-go.
favorite story about Lagunitas, and I only have it because I went to the launch. Everybody's like, the dog. It must have been the owner's dog. It was it's so cool, man. Where'd the dog come from? Because we all love dogs. And he was on stage and he's like, yeah, it was a piece of clip art. Like, there goes all the romance. It's so funny though. The clip art licenses expire after a certain amount of years, and he found it and he used it.
Well, there you go. Nothing wrong with that.
No. You know, the thing about this beer for me is that it's a fantastic beer. It's a big beer, a lot of backbone. I do miss a little bit of aroma though.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, like
Are you saying from this specific beer that we're drinking now?
yeah.
Okay, so we've had it in our stable in my fridge for maybe 2 months.
No, we had it.
But
we had it on tap. We had it on
yeah.
tap, fresh at the literally fresh out the keg. And the American IPAs do tend to be a little bit different. Even when you're drinking an 80 IBU beer, it seems a lot more balanced. There's a lot more malt that gets thrown into the thing, so it actually sweetens it up a bit, and you don't get the impression of hyenas clawing at your palate with an 80 IBU beer. So this beer, like balanced, well made. I do miss a tiny bit of aroma though.
Yeah,
That's just from my side.
I think I stand to be corrected as always on hashtag beer time. But they use a lot of I think Chinook, Zeus, Centennial, Cascade, and there's something about an American IPA that's it's weird. Obviously a very good example is an English IPA versus an American IPA. Obviously two extremes. But when you try an American IPA, when they use that American hops, there is something dank, or I'm trying to think of a word that they're kind of like a nail that hammers into a very specific part of your palate. And if you were to have a South African IPA or an Australian or New Zealand IPA, I'm talking specifically with the hops that they use, then you have that certain level of IBU, of bitterness, of aroma, but there's a different kind of that bitterness that you get in the back.
There's a danky.
There's a bit. There's a very specific word, and I'm very sure there's some scientific term for it. If anyone out there is listening and knows, but you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is you can kind of pick up when people are using American hops versus.
But that's the thing. I mean, of course, yes, and like that would be, like I said, the only criticisms here, because you get all of that danky hoppy punch in the flavor. I would just like a little bit more on the snout up front. But I mean, when you got a cold glass of this in your hand, it's like, get in my belly. Get in my belly. It's delicious, bro.
Competition time.
Delicious. Yes.
Competition time. We've gone 15 minutes. So for the long-term listeners, you would know that the three of us are part of a homebrew club. Mm-hmm. And
there was a fourth member. He's still around.
He is still around.
We haven't seen him in a while. I've forgotten what Ross looks like.
We need to shame poor Ross. He's always busy. He's got something.
I hope he's listening.
No, he better be listening. So we've got a. We like making decisions as a team, and unfortunately Ross can't join us this Saturday when we brew. I think this is probably our first winter beer that we're going into winter. That's what I mean. So we've decided to run a competition. We are, and it's say competition, but it is. You should if you enter this competition, you really want to win the prize. And let me first say what the prize is. So the prize is an afternoon with the three of us, a morning with the three of us, brewing a beer at our invite-only private homebrew club. No one's been invited besides the four of us.
No.
And in a secret location you will get to brew with us on this Saturday, and I will, I'll bring in some beers, so you'll taste some beers from my secret stash. But here's what we want you to do.
And there'll be a braai.
And there'll be a braai. Okay, so there'll be a
always
braai.
a braai. If we're brewing, we're brewing.
So there's
This
brewing.
time, Greg will try not to burn everything.
So this is what we want from you. If you're out there and you're listening and you know us and you want to get invited to these kind of things, then Flip, by all means, join in the competition. This is what we want you to do. Carl's going to post something on Twitter now. We're going to list 3 beers that we each want to make. And we need you to vote for the beer that you want to see us make this Saturday. So I'm going to get the ball rolling by saying it's been a while since I made a double. So I'm going to make a Belgian candy sugar double. Nice raisiny, sweet smells, lots of heavy fruits, pushing 8%.
Goes really well with fresh yellowtail, yeah?
There you go. So that's option A. Greg, do you have an option?
I do have an option, and I'm gonna say that this option is inspired by old Steph at Little Wolf.
Ooh.
I would say a hoppy wheat. I know where we're going. It is the southern tip of the continent. It is on a beach.
Ooh.
And yeah, stone's throw away from the water. I want something I can drink at 10 a.m. Yeah, and
You can drink a double. You can drink a double if you want.
and then sleep at 12. Yeah, sure,
Exactly.
no problem. Something we can smash for the day in the sunshine. Fishing rod, surfing, whatever it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so option B is a hoppy wheat.
Hoppy wheat, I'd like that.
Mr. Cole?
My option is a Jet Black Heart clone.
Ooh.
Brewdog Jet Black Heart
That's
clone.
an oatmeal stout.
An oatmeal stout. It's such a delicious beer. They put all their recipes up. It seems like a shame to try and do one.
Okay.
And good news is Ross is listening.
Yeah! Hi, Ross!
Oh.
We miss you!
Should we quote him? He says, "You fuckers." Well, that was Ross speaking, not me. Okay, so guys, so if you are listening, I suppose Ross could enter, but then he won't be able to join us. That'll just be you. That'll be sad.
He's never able to.
So Ross, you're not allowed to enter the competition. So
Yeah.
guys, a little bit of a fun competition here on Beer Time. If you want to come spend the day with us, the morning on this Saturday at a secret location, which is our brew club, we're going to be making some beer. Help us choose. It's
we can say the name of the brew. It's the Unstable.
the Unstable.
At the Unstable.
Our homebrew club is I had to think there. The Cart Horse.
It's been that long?
Yes, the Cart Horse Homebrewing Club. And so help us choose between option A Belgian double, option B, a
Hoppy wheat.
hoppy wheat. Thanks, you.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, you see.
Sure.
I altered and option C, a oatmeal stout. Guys,
Do we have an option D, King's Blockhouse?
yes, look at that.
In a bottle.
Look at that. So, moving on to our next beer. We're speaking about American IPAs. We thought it was a good idea to introduce, the number one South African IPA. I would say the number one South African made American IPA. At the moment, I think it's been for a while. Look, no respect to the other brewers out there, but Devil's Peak do kind of still hold that pole position in terms of a American IPA, South African made.
Well, I mean, it's not a funny thing for me, but with Blockhouse, when it first came out, massive West Coast IPA and everything like that, dialed back a little bit now. And you do have a lot of other fantastic IPAs out there. I mean, Valve from Riot stands out.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Big one, Californicator, Woodstock, and a whole bunch of other guys that are doing incredible beers. You've got Giant IPA from Rory.
Have you had the new
At
CBC
Ago.
West Coast IPA?
Have done as well. So the guys are doing it. And I think getting just touching on the Pliny and Friends theme, Pliny in the States now is not the biggest beer that you will get there. It's certainly, it's a double IPA.
Biggest in terms of...
Biggest in terms of the most hops, the most this, the most. It's the States. Everything's kind of big and bold and, out it goes. But, it's with Pliny, it's a perfect beer.
Yeah, I don't think it's always
balanced.
about being as the biggest
Yeah.
you can go. I think it needs to be the most delicious you can go. And if it happens to be big,
Yeah.
Then,
So
yeah.
the guys have dialed it back a little bit. I think it started at, and JC can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it started at about 65 IBUs. I think it's down to about 56 now. But still, all of that.
But that's all to do with our climates
Yeah,
and our
climate
markets. I mean, they obviously introduced this American IPA in the beginning, and it was great. All the hop nerds went mad for it. But like any business, you need to move a bit of product. And,
sometimes less is also more.
yeah.
You know, and it's a true story with this. It's for me, this is a perfect South African IPA. I walking into a shop, I have no problem handing over money for it. I know what's in the bottle.
Definitely.
It's delicious.
It's very nice.
So when you smell that, I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier with a very unique kind of different smell. I know. Again, please correct me if I'm wrong. They've tried to use a bit of South African ingredients in this beer.
Okay.
So it's not that harsh heaviness. My God, if one of the beer nerds phones me now and says, Troy, you're wrong. Please do if you are listening.
Please, someone do it, even if you know he's right. Please.
But yeah, it's already
For
got
me,
more of a creaminess on the smell, the hoppy creaminess. Not in a bad way, not like a corn or anything like that. It's a delicious.
For me, you get the citrus, you get the fresh cut grass, you get a little bit of the pine. The nose is definitely for me,
some sweet citrus.
Yeah, definitely bigger for me on the snout than the Lagunitas. But then when you drink it again, the hops are there, but just that kind of that sweet, sticky, dank backbone that a lot of the American IPAs have is quite a bit less. It's dialed down in the blockhouse, and that might be speaking towards our climate here, where you're not looking for as thick and viscous and heavier beer.
The Lagunitas also has a bit more malt body to it.
Yeah,
This is definitely
definitely lighter.
This is lighter, but in a weird kind of way, like you said, it's got a bit of sweetness.
Yeah,
it's got like a sticky
sticky hop in the field.
I think it's also a little bit dialed down on the carbonation, so it does make it a bit more sessionable, a bit smoother. Still the top of the IPA lot.
So plenty of South Africa, right? All day long. Yeah, mate. We're just gonna keep quiet and drink.
Okay, so the poll is up on Twitter. If anyone's listening, please go and vote.
Yes, I don't think
it would be quite embarrassing if no one voted.
I don't think I've ever been part of a poll in my own competition.
Would it be nice if you were?
Yeah, maybe I should. So, guys, I want to talk about a few events that are coming up, and this is maybe a nice, segue to branch off from Devil's Peak Blockhouse. This Thursday, I know that Stefan from Little Wolf, which belongs to the stable of Devil's Peak, the family, he's having a food and beer pairing.
We will see you there.
Are you? I don't know what to expect. I mean, it's just going to be food and beer. I mean,
is it
in a simple kind of way? But you guys know a bit about food and beer, right? You spent an afternoon around a braai,
Well, it's normally when there's fire and beer involved, so it's all that's the happy place. But I think they're working with the guys in the Devil's Peak Kitchen. I think they might have a new chef there. I'm interested to see whether it's going to be a full vegetarian menu.
Yeah, they haven't really said. They're kind of keeping it.
Really said anything.
Keeping it on the down low.
With Stefan from Little Wolf being vegetarian. So
I'd imagine it would be.
Yeah, and then the 4 saisons, which is delicious. I think we have tasted a few of them. I'm really hoping that Nectaris will be back there again. We had that at Fools and Fans, and that was a home run smash.
So just explain to the listeners what that was.
Well, Stefan brewed, and again, I'm going to start sounding like you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Stefan brewed.
It's easier.
Right?
Gives you a little bit of an out.
With all due respect, he brewed a saison and then aged it, a little bit of Brett, in Chardonnay barrels for a good couple of months. So it is a sour saison base. And then he did one with cherries and blackberries, which we had. We did taste the base as well, which was Bretty and delicious. Yeah, Farmyard Funk. And then, at Fools and Fans Festival, he did another one which he aged. We put onto white nectarines. And it actually gave us this beautiful, like orange, it was crystal clear, but you had this kind of tropical, nectarine, fruity sweetness against this.
It had a bit of tart.
Wasn't
It had a bit
there
sour
vanilla in there as well?
Yeah,
or
I
something?
think
Was
it was
vanilla
there
or
was some sweeten. I think it was
yeah,
vanilla.
There was, yeah.
But
was
it had
damn good.
it was
Ridiculous beer. Ridiculous.
it was like 30% tart, and the rest was just
Juicy, yeah.
vanilla smell, and
I didn't taste.
I think that was the first beer that ran out.
Yeah, I didn't taste too many beers at the festival because we were busy doing the food pairing.
Just
So it was,
busy going back to the little.
it was a bit manic, but that one we drank a bit of, and it
Yeah.
was so good, so good.
Yeah, no, that's
I think he was also worried about it. Didn't he? Wasn't he worried about how it was
Yeah.
going to come out? Don't be
Yeah.
worried, Steph.
Don't be worried, Steph.
You know what you're doing.
Don't be worried, but.
so that's
And also, I think he gets to, something that's probably, Stephansbergs were always pretty good.
yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
And, now that he's involved at Devil's Peak, he gets to, not play around with the City Golf. He gets to go from A to B in a Ferrari. So, and that makes for better beer.
I'm sure he'd love a Ferrari.
Yeah, right.
But his beers are good, man. That hoppy wheat is next level good.
Yeah, it's-
especially on tap at the brewery. Yes.
Yeah, no, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy.
Yeah.
Hey,
There we go.
whammy.
You
Look at
told us not to smack the table, and
Yeah.
here you are, smacking the table.
Smack
you
it, yo.
know what else couldn't have happened to a nicer guy? I think it's time for the Pliny.
Hey, yeah, we got to get through the show
Yeah,
quick,
we're
man.
going to get through the show quick. Do you have time for a song first?
No,
Yeah.
let's. Well,
Bugger the songs. Let's drink the Pliny. There's only half an hour left, man.
we have half an hour left.
So you go, yeah.
We can play a song.
Dude, listen, there's gonna be a couple of burn stories coming up. You can put on one of the burn songs. It's that Bob Marley. This is Tainted Love thing.
Tainted Love. Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll.
get that.
Do.
Do a little bit of that, and then we're into the Pliny.
I just realized something. If you vote on the poll, I can't see you voted. So that's a problem. There goes my competition idea.
There goes your well, we'll see who that'll help because we'll see which one gets the most votes.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of just.
I don't know how we'll do. We'll just figure something out. Let's drink the Pliny and worry about it later.
Yeah.
Well, we'll play a little bit of music.
No one's entered anyway. Don't worry.
No. I can see the people going mad on my.
Actually, I lied. It's 5 votes already, but no, I don't. Yeah, this is a problem. I don't think this through.
5 votes.
My bad.
I love you.
We usually don't think things through here on #Better, but let's play some music and then we'll figure a few things out. We'll come back to you and we'll taste a little bit of Pliny. We'll see you guys in a short bit. Ciao, ciao. Okay. I thought that was going to have more of an impact with the music, but
That was a solid choice, man.
we'll just leave that. We'll turn that down. Thank you very much. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to #Beer Time with me, T-Bone Troy. We've got Greg and Carl from Beer Country, and this show is all about Pliny and friends. And what a great time to introduce Mr. Pliny.
Deep, yeah.
And there's so much that we can talk about, that we need to talk about. How it got you, why it got you, why we're so excited about it, why the show is called Pliny and Friends. But I just wanted to wrap up with the first half of the show. We had the Lagunitas IPA, we had the Devil's Peak IPA. We spoke about a Little Wolf's food and beer pairing happening this Thursday. I think tickets are still available. Make sure you get some. I think you can go to his social media and there'll be a link there. And what else did we talk about? I think
Pliny.
that is it. Pliny. I think let's just jump straight into Pliny.
Jump straight in.
Let's jump straight.
Yeah, the water's warm. The beer's cold. That's,
Okay.
get it.
Crack.
Carl's just going to do the honors.
It doesn't.
Oh.
There
This
we go.
this is
You should probably pour
my
it.
third
Yours.
time I'm having a Pliny, and for our American listeners, you must know that we, as South Africans, people living halfway across the world, we just don't have access to it unless there's a mule, a friend who brings it to us. And I'm going to give the reins straight over to Mr. Greg, and he can just tell us how he got this beer in his possession.
Well, I mean, Pliny mules are a thing. You know,
They get rewarded.
No, it is. It's a
They become Facebook friends.
it's a real thing. And every time that I've got a Pliny in my hands, there's usually been
That was just the aroma.
has always been related to a burn. If it wasn't Burning Man, it was Africa Burn, and you know it's the first time We were at Black Rock City, Burning Man, and the camp that I was with, Steampunk Saloon.
Yeah.
A couple of the guys there would do a beer tasting at 9 a.m. every morning. And there were 2 Pliny's left in the bottle in the cooler box on the last day. And I got gifted one of them to bring home. That was my first Pliny. It makes sense that the unicorn beer comes from the Burns. That's where the unicorns live.
Why is it the unicorn beer?
Well, it's tough to get. Not so easy to get your hands on, even in the States.
Only if you live in the area, isn't it?
Yeah, Santa Rosa, Russian River Brewing Company. And then the second one I had, my brother bought out for Africa Burn, and now...
Good Lord Almighty, that's good.
Now...
Good Lord Almighty.
And Troy will know this because he had him and I each had a full one at sunset in the desert this year at Africa Burn.
The different
I didn't
Troy?
hear about this.
A
What the hell?
different Troy.
No, I mean, you speak about the Pliny mules, and we had 3. It was Trevor, Nicole, and Tracy. TNT, and he opened up a cooler box one day, and there were 6 of them in there.
I think you're going to get us into a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
Well,
you're upping the numbers here, man.
Troy's-
I've only known about 2.
I'm going to say for the record.
Troy stole one. Mark
No.
from Riot stole the other one.
I'm going to say for the record, I shared one with someone else.
Okay.
So I didn't have a whole one. You can't possibly have a
No,
whole
the
Pliny.
little-
Can you have a whole Pliny to yourself?
I'd like to try.
Dude, I did.
I'd feel guilty.
It was sunset. Made sense at the time.
Did you have it from the bottle?
Yes, I actually did.
Oh,
boss.
classy.
Get out.
Classy.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Right, sacrilege. So that's the Pliny story. It's I guess it pays to have friends in burner places,
In dusty places.
In dusty places, exactly.
You're a bit of a burner, hey?
a little bit.
You've known to put on the old dusty boots
From
and
the dusty bit, I think
pitch the old tents.
Yeah, I think that tent's been pitched 14 times now. So it's alright. I go to church once a year, twice if I'm lucky.
Amen.
So it's
Preach, brother.
It's the free United Church of the Karoo for you acronym fiends out there.
So this is a bit of a personal thing from my side. I want to know the difference between Burning Man and Africa Burn. The thing that I have in my head is the numbers.
The numbers is
It's like 70,000 versus 10,000.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's everything's different, but the 10 principles remain the same. Decommodification, civic responsibility, and radical self-reliance. One of my favorite. Leave no trace. Also, all of that good stuff. So it's the other 10 commandments that you can choose or not choose to live by. But it is fun, and I've been lucky enough to go on a burner exchange with Africa Burn and Lakes of Fire over to the Chicago Regional. Which is basically a student exchange for badly behaved people, which is great. And a lot of us, we smile the same, we burn the same. It's just different places on the world, which is great. And it's resulted in a lot of good beer going either way. We've got some Founders beer that's also come over from a friend of mine, Gromit, over there. A legend of a guy. He sent some over. That'll be for a different time and a different tasting. But for now, back to the Pliny. I've been talking so much I haven't even had a sip yet.
I've been drinking mine, don't worry.
Right.
So the research that I did, Pliny was a Roman statesman in the first century,
Naturalist
AD.
and historian.
And he was the first one of the first people who recorded the lupulus term, or
Lupulus.
homilus lupulus, or something like that. I don't speak Latin. I apologize.
Selectaris.
And there we
that's
well
right.
done.
Yeah.
You are. I'll just say yes.
The good thing is that
not known like
no
that
one will know
anymore.
that you're wrong. That's
No,
the good
but dude, I researched this, and now it's not that anymore. Now it's Humulus
Lupulus.
That's
So-
what Little Wolf is
And
named after.
you know why it was called that originally? The Lupus sacratillaris, whatever that is.
Tell me.
Latin translation is a wolf among shrubs.
And that's where Little Wolf got its name.
There we go.
Oh, Steph, you old sly wolf,
Okay,
you.
that.
So he was a statesman, and that's why they named it Pliny the Older. And then quite an interesting story, the Russian River also made Pliny the Younger, which was his son.
Yes.
And can you remember the story behind that?
I
think
do. His son recorded the thing that Pliny the Elder, lived from, I think, 23 to 79 AD. And he, I think the term way back when was perished in the smoke and ash of Mount Vesuvius.
Yes, that's what I read.
Which is kind of weird. Like, as a naturalist and like a dude that's out in nature, you would think that you would need to stand further away. You would think you would probably know that. But
obviously it wasn't a smart Roman.
It was a really big volcano. So perished in Mount Vesuvius, and then Pliny the Younger is his son. And Russian River also make a beer, which I think is a triple IPA, called Pliny the Younger, which I have still.
But this is still the most famous. Right?
This is the most famous. I mean, this is the unicorn right here.
So this is the one that's. I actually just realized recently that it is made all year round, but they obviously make it in very small batches. That's why it's just so limited.
I think it just sells
and
out so
you
fast.
You got to go get it.
And you can only get so many, isn't that true?
You can only get a case or two cases, 12 bottles. Or...
You know what? It's such a brilliant idea because there's no reason they can't make more. It's just you got to keep that little carrot going. And what better way to do it than you make it hard to get?
I think it was Mike from the Real Beer Revolution who was in the States, and I think he went to the Treehouse Brewing Company or someone on the East Coast, and he said there was like a 300-meter queue to get into the brewery.
Yeah.
And he said, unfortunately, he just couldn't waste however many hours it was to just stand in that queue. Because, when you're overseas, you've got to go.
Yeah.
Side notes, you see that my wife was telling me that volcano in Hawaii is still going.
Yeah.
I actually saw
this
lava wave eat a car.
I saw that, yeah.
Did you see the R2-D2 rubbish bin that made it next to it?
No, really, I didn't see it.
Watch that.
Okay.
That was the best part of the video.
I know, right?
Guys,
this for me, like after having the two beers, the Blockhouse and the Lagunitas, if you have to take the best characteristics from both of those beers, combine them kind of together and turn it up to 11, it puts you kind of in this territory. I mean, this is a much bigger beer. This is an 8% beer.
Yeah.
I think it's 65 IBUs. But you don't taste it. It's not cloying. It's not bitter. You've got all of that citrusy pine, resin, grapefruit, hoppy goodness and aroma in spades up front that you'll get from the Blockhouse. But you've got the backbone to just stand up to it all. It's without being too syrupy or dank or. Yeah,
it's pretty dank.
It's dankish
in a very good way.
Yeah, I also fear it's one of those beers that's, specifically with my weakness is that it's 8%. It will come and hit you a little bit later.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but I promised myself no more afternoon naps.
I think what we should do is get like 5 Pliny's and just test it through. What happens if you have 2 full ones? I could so have a full bottle of this.
But you guys did, didn't you?
No, I did.
I actually saw an experiment. I think it was Dogfish Head who got their last 14 beers. I can't remember which beer it was, but they had 14 generations that kept a beer from each year.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And they had gone back and tasted it. I think they do it every year. They've obviously kept quite a bit, but they go back every year and they try, like, for example, 2017, 16, 15, 14, and they go back and see which one is kind of which one peaks, know? So if it's aged for 8 years, which is a good one. So I think I don't think we should do it with Pliny, though.
I think it's
Pliny you got to have.
Specifically says on the bottle here, do not age.
Do not age.
No, drink fresh. That's 100%. And that actually provides a perfect segue into the next beer.
Well, I'm glad we love segues here on
One day you guys are going to get to the point where you just segue. You don't have to say it. You just got to go, man.
And actually, by sidestepping, you'll just see we'll go 360 and come right back down to the circle. Yeah. I do. Before we move on to the next one, I do want to just point out something that I find quite interesting. And when we look at Lagunitas, the IPA, the company was started in 1993. Russian River, 1997. The next brewery was 1980. Devil's Peak Blockhouse, or just Devil's Peak, 2012. Yeah. The South African industry is, when you look at these dates, it's 10, 20 years behind in terms of where America's has been. And it kind of leads me to, I saw a very interesting presentation this weekend at the Brewers Powwow. It was the state of the brewing nation, the South African brewing nation, and it was a very interesting talk by a gentleman called Alan from Red Rock Brewing Co. This is Red Rock in Johannesburg, not Red Rock in, I think, South Carolina, North Carolina. But anyway, it's we're at a part of we're at a stage in our industry where there's just so much good. Open that close to the mic. Ooh. So what I wanted to say is, we've got Devil's Peak, who are still very young and they're doing some amazing things. I still think that our industry is so raw and young, and that's there's just so much more that can happen. You've got all these brewers that started in the States that have these amazing beers, that have these flagship, have these unicorn beers. We don't really have that kind of culture here in South Africa. It's getting there. That's why what I want to say, it's a very exciting time to be very, very exciting time to be alive.
No, look, I think you're absolutely right. I think we need to have a bit more. There needs to be some challenges. I think that's what's important. Like, there's a lot of,
and those are creeping out now.
Yeah,
collabs, competitions, festival beers. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you go for it. But you're exactly right. There's like, everyone always goes Blockhouse, and it's fantastic. It's a fantastic beer, and we still drink a lot of it. But you need someone who's going to come along and go, like, and there have been a few. I definitely think Ager's Giant IPA is up there, Riot's IPA is up there. But you need guys to start aiming a bit higher. I don't think anyone's aiming, middle of the ground intentionally, but you need guys to be going, like, we're going to take Blockhouse down. We're not just going to make a really good IPA. And I think because the competition is the only way, man. It's the only way you're going to drive everything forward.
I don't think I had a revelation this weekend, which they don't come often in the old brain. And I know you want to get to that beer, but the one thing I realized, a big difference between craft beer and the mainstream guys, is that I think craft brewers, they want competition.
I think
If a brewery opens across the road from you, and you're a small guy in a town that doesn't really have a big craft culture, you should want that brewery to open, because it's going to bring more customers in.
Yeah.
If you're a big brewer and you open a brewery and there's another brewery that opens across the road from you, that's competition, man. That guy needs to get squashed out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of something that I realized is the competition aspect between craft and mainstream.
Yeah, but you should be competing on the quality of your beers, not the price. Not that you can undercut someone. And I think that's something that's happening.
I think the thing.
Last of a Pliny.
My Pliny's gone.
You're moving on to the next beer, and I feel bad for necking the remainder of this Pliny. But it's not often that you get to do.
We've got 10 minutes, bud. We got 10 minutes and 750 mils of Sierra Nevada Estate homegrown IPA.
Oh, don't you come and bring that language in the studio. Don't you dare. So
I'm going to actually just dive back in quickly. I think the difference is with making the bigger beers and everything like that, it's the market that's a problem. If you do that in the States, you can have 0.001% of the market and still be minted and sell out and happy days.
Yeah.
Here, if you do it, you're sharing pizza. It's buy more craft beer, people. Come on. Okay, enough of that.
Wait.
Just wait.
Segue.
Now we crack this thing and it's like losing all its aroma.
The Craft Brewers Association is meeting next week, Tuesday, at Banana Jam to give a bit of a feedback meeting. So if you're a brewer and you want to know a little bit more, come join us next week, Tuesday. But anyway, that's what I wanted to do. That's the reminder. I've said all the notes that I've needed to say.
Go.
Wow.
Yo, that's a big one.
Jeepers. Okay.
Yeah,
Greg, this is a beautiful label. This is Sierra Nevada. This is organic beer.
I've got a
remember I was talking about that teenage boy holding back. This is happening right now.
We'll just hold back for 10 more minutes
you
until
guys
the
might
show's over and we cleared out.
You guys need to get up. Give me a few minutes.
Yeah. So massive thanks to my butt over in Florida, who hooked us up and sent us over, and to old Spotter, who came out and delivered it across the pond. Yeah, large format, 750 ml Sierra Nevada homegrown IPA, and what that means is every single part of this beer was made and grown on the Sierra Nevada farm
In Chico.
in Chico.
Chico? Am I saying
know,
that?
Chico, like Chico.
I always
don't know,
imagine saying
Chico.
with a cheeky
Yeah,
Spanish accent. Chico.
in Chico, California. It is a wet hop IPA. So just quickly, the difference between a wet hop and a fresh hop. Wet hop is straight off the vine. A fresh hop has been dried. But yeah, much like herbs in the kitchen and everything like that, you don't want to leave it. The sooner you can use it, the better.
I'd imagine it would have to be used within a certain amount of time.
Well, the wet hops is, I think, within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so that's what they've done here. It is a massive beer. I think it's sitting at also around 60 IBUs and 6.5%. So not huge, but a beautiful color.
So this is a special beer.
So this is it. I mean,
Would you say this is even more rare than the Pliny?
I think it's probably
Pliny comes out yearly, but this
I'd say
is
it's probably tougher to get. And this is a vintage. This is a vintage beer, so it changes every year.
A beautiful label.
Yeah, right.
Why?
Gotta love it.
Oh God, that's beautiful label. And I'm just smelling this.
Okay, let's get it. I know that there's a bunch of hops that I should know, and I will tell you right now.
I think the Chinook Cascade. From the research that I did, I saw that they have the homegrown Chinook or the farm grown Chinook. That's actually the hop that they have on their fields, which is a great dual purpose hop.
It's organic wet hops. There is some wheat in this beer as well. And barley. That's it. Where's all the hops in there? I'll get you now.
Again, this has got a bit of a.
Yeah, it's just
It's got a bit of a creaminess. I'm going to try and get this.
Two bittering hops: estate grown Chinook and Cascade, and the finishing hops are estate grown Chinook, Cascade, and Citra.
That is big. Eh?
It is big, and it's got a bit of malty. It's got that very speciality malt, bit of caramel sweetness.
I said two. Yeah, well, you see,
Is
you
it?
know your stuff. It's estate grown two-row pale malt, caramel, and wheat.
Okay, so there is some. Yeah, there's that. You definitely get that. Like a
Caramel
Munich
sweetness.
1, Munich 2, something in there.
Finish is better though. Oh, it's really good.
Oh.
Again though, like, would you say? And I'm only bringing this up because we did a fresh hop brew.
That's chewy a little bit. That's that's virgin and chewy. So don't interrupt.
Would you say that there's like massive amounts of fresh hop character? Would you say it's like when you say fresh hop to me or wet hop, I expect it to be, massively aroma of fruity hops and all
Sticky.
this.
I mean, we did the hop tour earlier this year, and then at the recent Craft Brewers Powwow this weekend, we had Lauren from AB InBev Hop Farms come and talk to us, and she bought about 10 different varieties, which yours truly won a packet of to brew on this Saturday. But
Hoppy wheat.
It's if you win the comp, man.
Belgian double. It had notes of raisin. So
nice.
that's why I was like Belgian double. Anyway, when you worked it through those hops through your hand, I'm talking. These were obviously pellets, and I'm comparing it to the hop tour that we did. But you get that stickiness that sticks to your skin on the hair and goes in your nose and covers everything.
Like a resiny, sticky, yeah.
Like I would imagine if you got all those hop oils and you put them together, it'd be like one toffee or one honey bit. So that's kind of
Hop hash.
kind of does hop hash.
Yeah.
Does kind of remember on the mill on the pelletizer
Yes.
on the roller, you could see that the
palette knife and
sticky.
just
You just
scrape it all off.
you just want to get a spoon and just
Yeah.
do something with it.
But this for me again is going. The aroma is not massive, but the backbone is
The flavor is
the
huge.
flavor is huge.
Yeah.
And I think that with the wet hops, I think maybe you lose a little bit of that punch up front,
Yeah.
but it makes up for it in spades in flavor on the back end, and it's earthy and a little bit spicy. Not too tropical, but not too far away. Maybe a little bit of pineapple in there somewhere as well.
My thing with fresh hops, and just to go back to that, is that this has got all of that. It's fruity, it's hoppy, it's spicy, it's complex. But when you say fresh, my brain just conjures up images of fresh fruit. And I find with all the fresh hop stuff that we've had, I've never had that. but it's all very good. It's just not what I don't know what it is in my brain that tells me that fresh hop is supposed to taste like a basket of fruit, freshly cut fruit.
Do you know what? I dare I say it? I might offend a few people, but it's not a first on hashtag Beer Time. It's almost like a hybrid with an amber ale because it does have that sweetness.
Yeah, it is sweet today. Yeah.
That you don't expect from an IPA, an American IPA.
Yeah.
So it really has cranked up a level. Sorry, just remind me what the alcohol is there.
I think it's 7.
6.7.
7, yeah.
6.7.
So it's less than the Pliny,
Less than the Pliny.
but double sweetness,
Yeah.
double the chewiness,
Easily, yeah.
mouthfeel. It's heavy, not too heavy. Oh, but
Right,
it's,
you know what? You know what I love about it is that
and it's got a wax seal.
It's
Just
got a
for-
wax. It's got a wax seal. It's got this
Like a hand-drawn label.
super sexy hand-drawn label. And for me, if you tell me this beer comes out of that bottle, like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like to get a super punchy, fresh, clean, an effervescent IPA out of here, you'd be like, meh. But this beer
No, it
out of
makes
that bottle,
sense,
I'm in
Yes,
all
it's
day
a
long.
special beer.
I think
You-
for food pairing, this would be
Yeah.
solid.
What would you pair it with?
I don't know, something big.
I think they said like smoky, like smoky.
like
bar-
ribs.
smoky
I
barbecue.
read somewhere cilantro. They use
Cilantro.
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 What do we call that here? We call it
Coriander.
coriander. Yeah.
Danya.
Why is it different? I don't know.
Like sticky Asian ribs with coriander.
Cilantro,
something like
salsa, and ribs.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. What, my accent or the?
I don't know. Well,
Yeah, the ribs. Let's have the ribs order.
And it is $7.50, so we've each got a full glass of it, which is.
You mean $3.50? We didn't have enough to go
Yeah.
around for everyone. What a pity.
Yeah.
To all our listeners.
Yeah.
So, Cole, I think this is a good point to maybe do a little bit of research into the Twitter. Just
yes,
to
I'm
see,
just having a look what to.
can we call a winner from the results?
Man,
It's going to be the Belgian double. I'm just saying.
there's not a lot of votes for that. I'm going to be honest. It's like
You shut your mouth.
there's a lot of Jet Black Heart. I mean, there's a couple of.
I'm going to screw you. I'm going on to check.
There's 2. Okay, from my bad competition planning and from the people who actually replied.
Okay, yeah, and while these two ferret around and stare at their phones, just to the friends and family listening in the States, thank you so much for all the beer. It was a blast having you in the dust this year. Come back next year, bring more beer.
Tracy, Trevor, and Troy. That was our clan. That we roamed like wolves.
Oh, and well, I mean, you and Trev on the Bad Advice Bar.
So
for a little while.
talk a little bit about. We've got some time. We don't have to stick to any constraints here. But what the whole vibe of Africa Burn is that you give something. So what?
Well, it's a gift economy. So it's not like a barter thing where I'll give you this and you give me that. There's no negotiation. There's nothing like that. It's like I will give you this and I hope you like it.
What are some examples? I remember getting some fudge. It wasn't fudge. I remember getting some matchsticks with some leather necklace.
I bet there's lots.
Lollipops.
I mean, the gifting thing can be, as kind of.
Lauren got
I don't
a
wanna-
fine. Lauren got a fine from being too sexy and looking too good.
Wow.
The Tankwa police pulled over and
Yeah, I mean, there was a lady that walked around a little while ago with a box of secrets, and you just stuck your hand in and you got your secret kind of thing. I mean, that's
Yeah, that sounds-
the engagement thing. Other people gift theme camps. Other
Yeah.
people gift food.
So what did you do?
Well, we've got Rust and Dust, which is our little the only holiday home we can afford and the only one we want in the desert for a week and change. And yeah, we do we were the Bring and Bra camp for a while, but then that ended up in a lot of mess. So now we do the Rusty Dusty Poiki competition, which you were a big part of on the Friday, which we've done for the last 7 years.
Did you cook the poiki, Troy? Is the question.
No, Troy and Trevor manned the Bad Advice Bar, which actually was an idea from a lady called Sophia. She was our next door neighbor last year, and came up and said, "Listen, can I borrow a table? I've made a Bad Advice sign out of some cardboard and a permanent marker that she found, and literally took a camping chair and a table and hung the sign on it and gave out bad advice."
Yeah.
And she wasn't able to make it this year, so we figured we'd take it up a notch.
Carry the flag.
Yeah, and had the Rusty Dusty Bad Advice Bar, which everyone had a turn to to man or
Jesus,
woman.
I was there for 4 hours.
Well, that's where dude, I know you why you were there. It's because that's where the beer tap was.
Yes.
Um,
We had Mark from Riot. He was there. He had some beer on tap. We had, what else do we have on tap? We had,
It was a bit. We had some drifter stuff. I mean, you gotta be careful. That's why taking kegs are good to the desert because there's obviously no branding attached to them.
Yeah.
You know, it is a decommodified space. So yeah, we love kegs there. It's all good. And I think he had a double IPA there on tap. We had
it was
the
fantastic.
what was the other one? The Pearl Rose, the grapefruit pale ale.
Ooh.
Yummy,
I had one
yummy,
this weekend.
yummy,
The
yummy.
Pearl Rose, the collab with Riot and Darling.
Yeah, it's
That is a great beer. If you haven't had it yet,
Yeah.
you can take this as my
Your seal of approval.
my stamp. Yes,
I will
seal.
also join you on that stamp.
Yeah.
It's the Pearl Rose is really a fantastic beer. If you haven't had it yet, have it. But yeah, the Bad Advice bar was great.
Best worst advice you gave out.
Go to Nepal and shave your hair and become a monk.
That seems like potentially good advice.
Yeah.
No, the guy.
Oh, depending on who you're giving it to.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think the main trend or theme that we gave out was you shouldn't quit your day job. You should carry on working for corporates. In fact, go work for a bigger bank.
And do it for free, volunteer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for 30 years.
Yeah, all day long.
Imagine if in like 3 years' time you're at the burn and some guy arrives who looks like a monk and he's like, "Man, I took your advice.
Yeah.
I sold all my possessions
And I couldn't be
and,
happier.
I'm like, I'm happy as a pig."
I'm like, oh.
Okay.
Would you like a beer?
No, I can't do that.
Always take candy from strangers. Yeah.
So, speaking of candy,
whoa.
Boom!
Uh,
how's that Belgian candy?
I was going
Is
to
it a
say,
wa-
man, you're winning here, but I think you rigged this thing. The only problem is the only friend who's commented, so we can see who he is from Joburg. So,
Oh, that doesn't.
yeah, Lloyd Moran. I don't think we can.
Thanks, Lloyd.
You're a champion,
Lloyd.
but we need unless you're planning on flying down here on Saturday. We need to pick a.
Yes, 45%.
Yeah, I know you're in the lead there.
Jeez.
I
Well,
like
this
that.
is what
How the
happens.
hell did that happen?
This is what happens when you have your own radio show.
Like
Ah,
jet
dude,
black
like-
heart. We're going into winter. What's wrong with you people? Come on.
No, there's nothing wrong with the Belgian candy double.
Golden candy double brew. Like, we need rum with the raisin. Not beer with the raisin.
Well, I don't know how we're going to pick it. We managed to just.
Let me just say this to you guys. I have made it before on my old system, and it was.
No.
Is it?
I don't
I'm
remember.
not
I don't
my
remember much, but
I
it
don't
was.
say
It was
He knows he
good.
made it.
Yeah, I know I made it, but it was good. Sure, we still got some beer left. So
What
we can
goes into this
point us.
Belgian candy double? In what? Sell me.
Yo, what
sell
makes it
me.
what makes it a good seaside
So-
beach beer?
No, well, let's talk about the Belgian candy, which is actually, Carl, you might enjoy this, but there's a whole world of sugar out there with mono sugars or
Correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, correct. But there's
Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah.
inverted sugar. There's the cheap syrup you get, which has been again. It's been a while since I read any
Like
books on this.
sucrose and fructose.
But yeah, but inverted sugars
Okay,
and all
yeah.
that stuff, and it happens when sugar gets broken down from poly to mono,
Okay.
yada yada, all that big terms and jargon. Sorry, I've been drinking.
Sounds good. Keep going.
So you get the sugar, you make it on a pot, you boil it to a certain temperature.
What kind of sugar? Sorry, just to jump in there.
I think it is syrup, like
White sugar, brown sugar, Demerara,
Illovo.
Turbinado,
Illovo. Golden
I'm pretty,
syrup.
I'm pretty sure we could like bump up our sugar quality.
Yeah, no, we can
I'm
bump
just-
up
Now
our-
that we're involved, yeah, like
No.
yeah, it needs to be good. But you get it to a certain temperature, a certain scientific science.
okay.
There we go,
Little
science.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it hardens and becomes brittle, and then
Yes.
that's the candy sugar that you actually throw into your beer.
Okay.
I think you throw it in post boil or at flame out or 5 minutes before flame out. But
You have
It's good that we're guessing all of this.
You
How
have
many
made
times you
this,
read
eh?
before?
Like shit.
guys, I'd rather guess it now than on Saturday.
So,
but
but
then
this
you
is
add it,
interesting.
and it adds an increase in that sugar levels, in that fermentable sugar levels.
Yeah.
Some of it's not fermentable. Although, again,
But then I think it's
we just see what happens.
when you did this in the past. I'm sure you did some research, but how did you pick the sugar? Did you just pick what was going?
I think it was
or-
table sugar.
because that's interesting.
And
'cause I
mixed
know,
with-
like, I think it's
Mixed with molasses. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
it's like I'm pretty sure Demerara or what's that one? Turbinado
sticky,
or
that's
something.
sticky.
It's got like a rum characteristic to it.
Yeah.
So maybe we should look at some interesting sugar instead of
Sexy
just
sugar.
I
Illovo.
can assure you that I will do my research before Saturday. So have we called it?
Yeah.
Greg, you know.
I don't know
Well,
who's.
I'm not. It's yeah.
Okay, so the Belgian, we were making a Belgian double this
Belgian
Saturday.
double.
And,
Or a jet plane.
but yeah, so
Okay, so we need to pick a winner. I don't know how we can do this. We will have to.
we'll contact them. But I'm glad that we'll contact them if there's someone out there who said they voted for it, and then I'll just say cool.
Well,
And I don't know if you know, but hashtag Beartime has thousands.
thousands. I know. My phone has just crashed. I don't know how we're going to do this. We have to
Okay.
end it. So is that it?
No, I'm
Damn, I've still got beer here,
Still
man.
drinking beer.
I'm still drinking. I'm still happy.
You gave us this hour time limit.
I know, right? But why? For what? I know.
No, I think it was just like I said.
First show back, you want to kind of ease it
shorter
in.
shows.
You know.
I actually
Just the
wanted
tip.
to be a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I wanted to be a little bit productive in the afternoon. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm going to be productive after this. Cheapers.
No, it is the 750 ml problem. Really, that is the thing, and I got a few of them. There's a lot. There's a bunch of starts there.
Careful what you
I know,
announce
careful what you
on
did.
on
Hey,
Out
Roy,
Raw.
there.
what are you
Let out
saying?
the gates.
Nothing. We have got nothing.
We've
There's
got
literally
nothing.
nothing at Greg's house. He doesn't live on Kloof.
Oh yeah, they gave you those Coronas.
No,
They gave you those
Coronas.
Coronas.
Hey, I
and
saw that New York
Barrel
beer you was.
aged Castle Light.
What do you think of that New York?
I
beer?
just, you know what? After you were so nice to it on the air, I looked at it in the shop and I just smirked. I didn't even buy it.
Hey,
It just looks like trash.
just don't even waste
Yeah.
your time with it.
Looks like trash.
We're talking about the New York beer that we
Okay.
saw. It was
Haven't
actually a
seen it.
New York beer from
It's
Portugal.
Spain or Portugal or something.
and it's brought here
in
to South Africa.
clear glass bottles.
And it's silk screened on, but it's not even done properly. It's just like it's just an insult. So if you're
No.
from New York, there's a beer named after you, and it's been made in Portugal and distributed in
it's
South
not
Africa,
good.
and it's a lager, and it's shit.
Yeah.
A clear bottle. What the fuck?
But you see, no, let's not.
Dude,
go down that
well,
road.
okay, I'll take us in a different direction. I've got a story for you. You know, talking about the Lagunitas IPA and IPAs in the States, and we did have the conversation about how they've joined the bigger family,
Yes.
Heineken family. The other big family is obviously AB InBev, and we've spoken about the Burns a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this: one of the only
Sorry, my bad.
one of the
They
only,
bought the burn.
yeah,
They've
right.
acquired the burn. No.
One of the only good things about having a company like AB InBev buy any of the craft breweries was
Oh, I like the story. Yes.
when I was on my way home,
From?
flying from it was from Chicago through Atlanta,
Sure.
Joburg, whatever it was, flying on Delta, American Airlines or an American airline, and I looked on the beer menu and there was Bud Light, this, that, whatever, and right at the bottom there was Goose Island IPA. And it's one of the results of being in the bigger stable. I think there's
That is, I
You're,
like.
you're cheap to buy, hey?
I'm sorry,
like
I'm
one
a-
airplane beer and
Yeah.
you're
like,
fucking done.
listen, your sister knows I'm a cheap date, bro. It's fine. One airplane beer and I'm in.
But I do like that story, and that is it's a great example of good stuff happening with mainstream beers.
Yeah, it was delicious to have a decent IPA on an airplane. Not gonna lie.
Anyway, there's lots to discuss in terms of craft beer. Like I said earlier before, if you are a brewer in South Africa, in the Western Cape, we have our meeting next week, Tuesday, at Banana Jam, to discuss all things craft.
And if you haven't signed up for the Craft Beer Association of South Africa,
Get in.
you really should, because it's they're trying to do good things. Don't sit on your couch and bitch about how things are not changing. Be a part of the change.
As Alan from Red Rock Brewing said, when you start a craft brewery, there's a great tailwind. That there's this nice breeze, that encouragement, all the fun things about starting a brewery. But once you start, there's a massive, and when he says massive, he emphasized very, very, very big headwind
Yes, of course.
pushing in
Yeah.
towards you. And that's from a whole bunch of things, from political, economic, to social, to the big brewers, to here's a big word, legislation. Woohoo!
It wasn't that big.
I thought you were going to say legislative.
Yeah.
My wife will enjoy the story. asked her to Google a word last
You know
night.
she doesn't listen to the show.
No, she does.
Oh, okay.
But
Hi, Lauren.
I couldn't say the word last night, and actually because it was broken up in a page, and when I put it together, it actually anyway. I digress. as always on the show.
What was your point?
But joining the Craft Brewers Association,
Yes,
you know, there is
absolutely. Come on.
a massive headwind if you're a brewer, and this is what the organization or the association is trying to help and fight and make craft beer great again.
Well, I mean, to the point about
Great.
the headwind.
Just great, yeah.
Just great. To the point about the headwind, you know the quickest way to make a small fortune? Start with a big one and open a brewery. There you go.
That was that was one of the bad advice things we gave out at Africa Burn.
Start a brewery.
The
Start a
guy,
brewery.
yeah, the guy said, "How do I make a lot of money?" And I said, "Well, start a craft
Yeah,
brewery."
get into craft beer.
Yeah.
Only use plastic equipment.
The other one was buy Land Rover.
The other one, the blanket one that covers everything, is vote for Trump.
Yeah,
No.
a lot of people just turned around and just walked away.
Alrighty.
So I think let's wrap up the show. Let's say thank you to Pliny and our friends. I think, what's our overall thoughts on the beers we had? We had the Lagunitas IPA, we had the Devil's Peak IPA, we had the Pliny the Elder, we had the Estates homegrown IPA from Sierra Nevada. Let's
Sum it up in 3 seconds.
sum it up. Carl,
Yeah.
sum up your thoughts.
I think it was a fantastic progression. What was quite uncool for me was that the other three, obviously very American, and our one stood out. Blockhouse stood out as very different. Not that it was better than all the rest of it, but it was very different and very delicious. The American beer is fantastic. I'm even on the fence about which one I prefer more, about the Pliny or the Estate. The Estate is growing on me, and I know the Pliny's got all the hype, but sure, this is some delicious stuff.
Greg, your thoughts?
I think the progression was good. I think that what was lacking in the Lagunitas IPA in aroma, it made up for in backbone. I think the opposite was true for the Blockhouse. I agree 100% with Carl in that there's definitely a South African flavor to it, which is awesome. And then, the last two beers are different, but, I couldn't pick between the two. Pliny still being not the biggest example of an IPA or double IPA, but a perfect beer. Just balance for me is top notch. And, the Estate thing is just, it's sexy on every level.
It is super sexy.
Super sexy, yeah.
My thoughts, I think all these beers are world class. They are all fantastic. That Devil's Peak, just if you had to scratch out South Africa and put America, it would fit right in.
Absolutely.
So that's a proudly South African beer right there. I'm very excited with what we still have to discover in South Africa. Every day or every month, there's something new happening in the States, from a milkshake beer to a New England IPA to a this, a that. What's so exciting is that South Africa hasn't discovered even one of its many hidden treasures. A Piwe from Brewster's this weekend at the... I'm getting that wrong, Brewster's. But from the...
Piwe. How can you not know Piwe?
No, we all know a Piwe, man. But I'm trying to think of her company.
Yeah.
She spoke this weekend, and she spoke about South Africa needs to find their own voice in the craft beer world. And she spoke a bit about the sorghum and the traditional African malt malt differences. But I'm so excited for the hops, the South African hops, the South African sweet, millets and sorghum to come through and to actually kind of find their own way and to potentially find their own, South African Pale Ale, South African IPA, and it's going to become so unique. So there's just so much to be excited for.
I got a song for you.
Tell me.
Come
Talk
together. Come together.
Come together.
Well, that's what you spoke about at the beginning of the show. You wanted 10 minutes.
We
just now.
should all just come together.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great place to wrap up.
I gotta go, guys. Yeah.
We've got to go. We've got lots to do. Mr. Carl,
Yes.
I hope you have a great day tomorrow.
Thank you, man.
I hope you have the best day.
I hope so too. I was supposed to be going to visit an interview for my kid for his school, which is thankfully being cancelled.
Could you imagine if you had the show and then gone to the interview?
I don't know why.
I've just come
why
from
she
drinking
booked
beer.
that. But yeah, anyway, that's been cancelled. So tomorrow's open.
Lekker. Well, I hope you have a good day. I'll see you on Saturday. I'll see both of you gentlemen on Saturday.
Thursday? Little Wolf?
Little Wolf
Oh,
Thursday.
hey.
Hey,
If you haven't got your tickets yet, get your tickets.
Hey-o.
So that's happening on Thursday, Little Wolf. And then Saturday, we'll see you gentlemen with a little homebrew session. Lots going on. Always something going on.
Nice.
Gents, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing the beers.
Thank you.
Let's play out with a song to all our listeners across the world. Yes, I can say that now because I see where you listen from across the world. Thank you for tuning in. We will play out with a little bit of music, and we will see you next time, next place, same time, same place. That's what I was meant to say. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Ciao, ciao. Thanks for listening, guys and girls. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search for #BeerTime. That's #BeerTime written out in full. Hope you enjoyed the show, and check you next time. Cheers.